Hello, hello. Welcome back to Let Me Mind My Business, the podcast for the real nosy bitches who like to pretend they're not nosy bitches. I'm your host, Tony Francis. Let's talk some shit, baby. Well, actually, more like let's talk some real shit, okay? I am really afraid of aging. I am deeply afraid of turning 30. I am in my late 20s. I'm saying this a little prematurely because I'm 26, but I'll be 27 in a few months. I'm in my late 20s and I feel like 30 is like knocking on my door. Like if rent is due at this point, like it is running me down and I'm very clearly about to get evicted from my youthful days. And I am deeply, deeply afraid. I can't even lie to you. I think there's so much paranoia in getting older. When I was younger, I really thought about my life. Like 15-year-old me thought soon to be 30-year-old me would be doing a lot of things differently than I currently do. And I am the biggest proponent of calling somebody uncle. Like when I tell you men who are 30, I'll be like unk, unk, unk. Like I'm always like digging into them like that. And then it hit me the other day, like, holy shit, like that's about to be me. And I'll tell you why this came into my mind. Okay. I live in Harlem. The other day I'm walking to Target, and a young man comes up to me who I guess has seen me around the neighborhood before because, he tells me that he recognizes that I usually ride a bike, which is true. I do ride a city bike, maybe like 90% of the time. And he's talking to me, and I'm obviously not interested, but he looked really young. So I said, "Oh, how old are you?" He said, "I'm 17." What the fuck would I be doing with a 17-year-old? That's the first thing. But I respond to him and I say, "Oh no, like it's okay. Like I'm 26. Like I'm 26. Don't worry about it." You know what this young man says to me? Instead of saying like, "Okay, cool," he said, "Oh, no worries. I love a OB." An old bitch. An old bitch. I became the old bitch. I became the aunties. And this actually put me in a point of deep reflection because I was like, damn, that's kind of funny. But two, when did I become an old bitch? Like when was that my reality? And I'm struggling to get to a point where like I'm comfortable with the idea of aging. There's this idea, I don't even want to say in society, I think just like in general, of like 30 being like real adult age, 30 being kind of like the era of your life where things are figured out, you're feeling good, you're like, what is it, 30, flirty, and thriving. That's all I keep thinking about. But then I'm also like, okay, there are these internalized timelines that I've had in my mind since the beginning of time. Like I said, 15-year-old me thought that I would be like 25 and getting married, and I would be like on my first kid at 27, and I would like be living in a big ass brownstone in Brooklyn. And it's like, I'm 26, almost 27. I'm single. There are no kids, thank God. And the brownstones that used to cost 300K are $3 million in the same neighborhoods that I grew up in. So I'm just like, okay, like it's super fucking clipped for me. Clearly. I'm also a Caribbean woman. I I love my mother to death. You see, look at me, mother, like getting a real immigrant in here. I love my mother to death. I really do. She is also deeply afraid for me. My mom, a woman that really kept a man on her. I will say that she kept a man on her for years. This is the same lady who I grew up, she was telling me like, no boys, no boyfriend, mind you. I was sneaking around, but that's neither here nor there. No boys, no this, no that. I turned 22. It was like, where's your husband? Where's your husband? Oh, I don't fucking know. Where is my husband? Girl, you tell me. You tell me. But now that I'm turning 27, she's no longer asking, where's your husband? She's asking, where are my grandkids? Because I'm getting older. To the point where the other day, my lovely, amazing Guyanese mother told me, you don't even need to get married. You can just have the kid. Do you understand just how insane that was for my traditional Christian parent to tell me that I don't even need to get married? She just wants the grandkid. Like, that's how desperate she is for me to figure my shit out. That's how bad it is. And, aging as a woman is very, very, very scary. There's this idea of like, okay, like I'm getting too old. Like, am I going to be able to do all these things that I wanted to do? And that's not to say like I have not achieved, the things that I want to achieve. I think I'm most concerned about like the idea of being a mother. So like I've always, with the exception of like a few years in my life, been like, I want kids. I've always thought of like, okay, like I'm gonna have like at least two because I'm an only child. So, I always wanted like a large family, things like that. And now I'm like, okay, like I'm getting older. That's scary. And when I was 25, like 24, 25, I froze some of my eggs and they got a decent amount off of me for sure. Like it was solid. They were like, oh, wow, this is great. But they were very clear in telling me that, it's way better to freeze embryos, like to create embryos and freeze them. They last longer, they have a longer shelf life than to just freeze your eggs. Like every doctor at this fertility clinic was telling me that. They're very, very clear about that. So I kind of knew going in, like, okay, sure, like if we get 20 eggs, there'll probably be like 5 or 6 of them will be good by the time I'm ready to use them, or maybe more, who knows? Like, let's see how it plays. But I'm at a point where I'm like, damn, like, when am I going to use these? Will they be good? Will I be able to maintain the same standard of health that I had when I was 24? Like, as I get into my 30s, I just keep freaking out about the really little shit. And I keep comparing myself to my peers in my age range. So, like, shout out the Henrys, Miss Jayla Henry, who like just turned 30. I love her content. I think she's great. I look at Jayla, I'm like, damn, should I have 2 kids and a husband right now? Like, am I fucking up? Like, am I playing around? What am I doing? Because that's what 15-year-old me thought 27-year-old me was going to be doing. I thought that I was going to be 27 with a husband and kids and building a house somewhere, doing things like this. You know what I am? I'm 27 with, a satisfactory sex life, praise God. That's great. Um, a fun dating adventure here and there. But I'm like, baby, the husband would be great. The husband would be great. And I'm kind of starting to feel like if the fun part of life is behind me. I went out last night. Baby, I'm so fucking washed. Like, oh my God, I'm so fucking washed. It's like beyond the fertility and all these other things. I'm washed up because I had 2 tequila pineapples and I woke up at 10 a.m. and my whole body was hurting. My whole body was hurting. I'm not the girl who I was when I was 21. When I was 21 in college, Nashville, Tennessee, Vanderbilt University, my God, that bitch used to go out 6 days a week. And even on Sundays, I would be like, oh, even the Lord rested. So I would rest on Wednesday. Because Sunday, there used to be good fun stuff happening on Broadway or happening on Demond Street. And I'd be like, oh yeah, like I'm gonna go out. I'm gonna have the time of my life. That is the woman who I used to be. I don't know what happened. I think the pandemic did me in to the point where like it doesn't hit the same. Now I'm 26, almost 27, maybe 2 drinks, one little cut water cocktail is gonna have me on my ass the next morning. It is actually such a deep problem for me at this point. So as I reflect on my 20s, I keep thinking like, okay, what has worked? What hasn't worked? So I had to take stock. I actually wrote a list of all of these things. So what has worked in my 20s? I said yes to a lot of things, even when things were really scary. So, for example, in my early 20s, I guess was 24, I got laid off from my corporate job at Google. And I was like, I don't really want another job. I'm going to make this influencer thing work. Shit, it did work, very clearly. I'm on this podcast. I'm having a good time. I'm doing all these things. So I think that worked out. I invested in myself a lot. So went to therapy, went back to school, got, as much as I could out of the personal development side of my 20s so far. I think I bounced back really well. I was very resilient. I built a lot of resilience that younger me didn't have. Had I gotten laid off when I was like 22, I think that really would have been the end of the world for me. But for that to happen like shortly before 25, I think I was a lot stronger and a lot like bigger and better built. I had like gorilla skin, shout out to 100 niggas versus one gorilla. But I think that's where I was. It was like very, very like tough for me. And 4, I was really like owning my ambition. Everything I said I wanted to do, I did. I think a really hard part of my early to mid 20s was like letting go of the like good girl archetype that I feel like is really pushed on a lot of immigrant daughters, like only girls, things like that, to where like you have to be so good at everything. And I think for me, letting a lot of that go was a really big part of getting into my point of like, okay, like I'm getting older, like whatever happens, happens is kind of how I've played it. But There are also a lot of things that haven't worked. So, for one, I think for me, I've always been a high achiever. I found myself like hustling for validation. Like, I knew for me, like, okay, I lost my job. I knew very clearly that I had to make something shake because like my life was public and I wasn't going to let people like see me be down over like losing employment, which like honestly for anybody would be a normal thing to be upset about, but I was not going to give no hating ass bitch the opportunity to even say some shit like that about me. But even within this, it's like the myth of this perfect life plan. I had to kind of start releasing myself from this. And I won't say I'm completely free from it because when I tell you a couple months ago, I decided to apply to law school. Like, imagine this. I don't even need to go to law school. Like, don't get me wrong. I love intellectual property. I do love the law. It's always like the initial plan that I had. I applied to law school through my dual degree program and then I got waitlisted. And there was a moment where, like, a few weeks before the decision came back, where I was like, I could really see myself doing this. Like, this is the thing. Like, I love this. And when I got waitlisted, I had to like pull back and think to myself, do you want to go to law school because you love the law, or do you want to go to law school because of like the validation that you feel that you'll get in this scenario? I wanted to go to law school for a little bit of both. I won't lie. Like, the vanity was meeting the ambition. So I told myself I would take, the next year and really think about whether or not I have a deep enough appreciation for the law to want to engage in it on a daily basis as a practicing attorney. But think about the fact that I had to spend all the money, apply, get the recommendation letters, write the essays, interview, do all of these things before I came to that realization. So it's very clearly something that is not working. Second thing, playing small to make other people feel really comfortable. I'm a big personality, as evidenced by the fact that I can sit here and talk into a mic and think that I'm saying the most interesting and most profound shit on the fucking planet. I'm not, but I obviously think very highly of myself. And I can understand how my personality will not rub everybody the correct way. There are people who are going to be like, I don't like that bitch. There are people who are going to think that they like me and then realize like I'm not shrinking. So they're going to start to dislike me. And that's very okay. But for me, I am refusing in this new era of my life to dim myself and like make other people feel better. I'm just going to be me and like either you buy in or you don't. And something else that hasn't been working is like forcing timelines. I know I talked about the timeline of like wanting a husband, wanting kids, all this, but I think that's actually been to my detriment at this point because I don't know how to go with the flow. I'm not one of the go with the flow girls. I am self described as a not chill girl. And I think that's because I always have in the back of my mind, like, okay, I want to do this thing at this time. And if it doesn't happen by this time, I'm like crashing out and I'm freaking the fuck out. And it's actually like, it's a problem for sure. And I think the idea of, not even the idea, the framework, the pressure of wanting to get things right is legitimately like it's cooking me at this point. It's not good. It's not good at all. And I have gotten to the point where I told a friend the other day, I said, I feel really behind in my life. Like I feel like I've accomplished a lot, but I haven't accomplished enough. And I was telling him, I was like, yeah, like I'm happy in my life, but I am not satisfied. Like, this is a great result. Like, anybody would love to, be an influencer and travel the world and like go to school and do all these like super fun things. Like, there are people out here who would literally like kill someone for that 100%. And then I look at it and I'm like, okay, this is great. Like, not the final form, and I think that is a problem primarily because like I am grappling between this idea of hustle culture versus like the actual fulfillment of my life and how I want things to play out. Do I want this dream thing because it's my dream, or do I want this dream thing because it's like what I've been conditioned to think is the appropriate action for somebody who is at my stature, for someone who has done the things that I have done? And I think I have to sit down and like really examine and really look and say, okay, like which of these things could I not like could I survive without? Can I go without the husband? Can I go without the house? Can I go without the kids? Can I go without, X amount of degrees or X amount of accolades? Like it really is something that I'm getting to a point where I'm like, damn, life is fucking crazy. Like life is crazy. Like I'm making plans and God is legitimately laughing at me. I wake up in the middle of the night and it's like my 3 a.m. thoughts are like, should I freeze more eggs? Should I go on reality TV? Should I start another business? Should I do this? Should I do that? It's like all these insane things because in my mind, I'm like, oh, like the vitality of my youth is fading. when, like, every time I talk to my mom, she's like, "Shut the fuck up. Like, you're getting close to 30, not 55. Like, you're nowhere near retirement age. You just need to chill out," you know? So I think for me, I'm really trying to reframe the idea of my late 20s, and I'm trying to push myself out of this state of mind of, "Oh, I'm getting old." I'm more so trying to think of it as, like, I'm in my seasoned era of life, Like, I'm producing the quality of life that I want is how I'm trying to reframe it, so I don't think of it as something that's negative. So, things that I am actually excited about as I get closer and closer to 30, I think more clarity just in my life. My career has been really interesting. Like, obviously, I'm an influencer now, but once upon a time, I thought I wanted to be an investment banker and then a consultant. And then I thought I was going to be a tech Barbie forever. And it's like, who knows what's coming next? Maybe I'll decide to be a VC. Maybe I'll decide I want to direct movies. I really do not know. But I think gaining that clarity is a really big one. Then I would also say just like the energy of working smarter. I think for me, I am really a workhorse. I really do love, the idea of consistently being busy. I do like that. And I think for me, it's creating something where all of the different facets of my life can come together and feel effortless is something I'm really, really trying to do. But I don't know, I guess I'm trying to reframe 30 as instead of it being the end of my youth, more so looking at it as like the beginning of a new era, like looking at it as like the renaissance of my life at this point. So I think it's like the beginning of me, but with experience, if that makes sense, trying to build. If I could really look at my life so far in decades, I would say my 20s would probably be my building era, but I would hope my 30s is like my curation era where things are exactly how I want it to be. And it's like I'm creating my own little art museum, my own little, microcosm of perfection, if that makes sense. But I hope you have enjoyed me ranting about my anxiety. It's how you know I need to go get an upper on my anti anxiety meds. But I hope you've enjoyed this. We'll chat next time. We'll see you later. Peace.